Okay, here's a quick little video on how to get GL and Eigen working in Visual Studio. It doesn't really play nice, and that's why I've been using GL for all the other projects, but you kind of need to make your own environment for this one. So I'll link to this tutorial. This tutorial tells you exactly how to get GL running on your Visual Studio instance. It's exact, it's very verbose, and it answers all questions. So once you get that down, you want to open Visual Studio, and you want to do File, New, Project from Existing Code. You'll do Visual C++, Project File Location. You'll go to your Project 5 directory, and I already have it in a different location, but I made a desktop one for the sake of this tutorial, and you'll select Project 5. Now, project name, this part's important. You're going to have to make two projects for this to work in Visual Studio, one for your actual project and one for the viewer, because they're two programs. It's important that you name this one viewer because it'll make otherwise it'll make a .cpp for your project by default. That's like the main to run the application, and we already have one of those from the Git repository. So just make sure this is viewer, and I think for the other one you want it to be fish tank. But I don't think, it might not be the same for everyone, but I think it's fish tank. So next, you want to do Windows console application. Make sure that's console application, not Windows application. Next, leave everything the same, finish. Now it'll add all your files, and you want to make sure over here in viewer source files, it has every file in the repository. It has every file in the repository, and you don't want that. You don't want it building the other files. You just want it building viewer. So you want to remove whatever project files from viewer, and make sure you do remove, not delete, so that just viewer.cpp is compiled for this. And for when you're doing your main project, you want to remove viewer.cpp. So next, we have to go into, you want to select this in the Solution Explorer. You want to go to Project Properties. And there's a bunch of stuff you got to do in here. So for general debugging, you want to change command arguments to sample.out. And before you start this, my bad, you want to make sure you have sample.out in your project folder, or otherwise, you won't have anything to test viewer with. And Professor Bargdeal has a sample.out that's available, so you can just make sure that your viewer works. So you want to make sure this is sample.out, and that way, we test it through command arguments. That's how we pass in the file name. So you need to make sure command arguments have something in them. And that goes, again, for your project. You want to make sure the command arguments are placed in this debugging window. So apply. Then you want to go to C and C++. You want to do add additional directories. Now, this is where we include Eigen. You want to download Eigen and extract it. And then you want to click this new line. You might have to expand this window like this, because this little icon sometimes doesn't appear. And you want to select where you have Eigen extracted. So I have it in my Dropbox just so I can use it with multiple computers. And you'll have Eigen dash and then a long string of numbers. Just rename it to lowercase Eigen like this. Select it. Okay. And now Eigen will play nice just like it's a library. Now you want to go to precompiled headers, make sure this is saying not using precompiled headers. Then you want to go to linker input, and you want to add, the other tutorial goes over this, but every time you make a new project you have to do it, so keep that in mind. You want to add the GL libraries, so open gl32.library. You want to do glu 32.library, library, and glut32.library. Then OK, apply, OK. Now everything should be good. We're going to run to problems, but I'm going to tell you how to fix it because I ran into the problems at these points. Then we should be able to do build solution. It should work, right? No. Okay, for some reason every time it says the Windows SDK version was not found, even if you have it installed. And I'll include a link to that too. For some reason you don't have it installed, but you should have it installed if you have Visual Studio. You want to click the solution up here, like all the way at the top of Solution Explorer, retarget solution, and you want to just just select the exact same one you already had. And it'll retarget, you'll build again. And now it magically works. Now to test it, we're going to do debug, either start with debugging or start without debugging. It'll run the file and you're done. Now, like I said before, you need to have sample.out in the command line arguments, and you need to have a sample.out in your folder for this to work. Otherwise, it will not work. But the viewer is working, GL is working, and now you can do all your work within Visual Studio. I hope this was helpful. I know it was a bit rushed. If you have any questions, leave them comments on this link or in Piazza, and I will try to help people. Okay, bye-bye.